Yes, my dear all, I am going through a chapter name is A Truly Beautiful Mind. This chapter is very incredible chapter and knowledgeable also. So I am going through point to point in the summarized way, and after that we will get some questions answer also. In the summary, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in Ulm. His mother thought he was a freak and his head was too large. He didn't speak until the age of 2.5. When he finally started speaking, he uttered everything twice. He loved mechanical toys and preferred being by himself. He had a little sister called Maja. The headmaster at a school Einstein studied in told his father that no matter what career Einstein would choose, he had never been successful. He played the violin and later became a gifted amateur violinist. He went to he went to high school in Munich and left the school at the age of 15 because of feeling stifled. His parents had moved to Milan and left him to Munich with relatives. He got a continue his education in a city much more liberal than Munich. He was interested in physics and was highly gifted in mathematics. He studied at a university in Zurich. Albert fell in love with Mileva Maris, whom the thought was a clever creature. At the age of 21, he was a university graduate but unemployed. He worked as a teaching assistant and gave private lessons. He secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert in Bern. In 1905, one of the famous papers was Einstein's special theory of relativity, according to which time and distance are not absolute. He also derived the world's most famous formula that described the relationship between mass and energy. Einstein wanted to marry Mileva after finishing his studies, but his mother did not approve of it as she thought Mileva was too old for him and was a book just like he was. They finally got married in January 1903 and had two sons. Unfortunately, they divorced in the year 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity and eclipse of the sun in 1919 proved that it was accurate. He had correctly calculated the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. In advance, his work was considered a scientific revolution. He received the Nobel Prize in 1921 for physics. Einstein immigrated to the US when the Nazis came to power in Germany. He wrote a letter to American President on 2nd August 1939 warning him about the happenings and the bombs the Nazis had planned to use. He wrote a public missive to the UN proposing the formation of world government, but it made no impact. He died in 1955 at the age of 76. He was known and celebrated as a visionary and world citizen as much as a scientific genius. Dear student, I told about Einstein everything point to point so that you can make sentence you can learn easily. Now I am going through some questions answer. First question is, who had this opinion about Einstein? He was boring, he was stupid and would never succeed in life. He was a freak. Einstein playmates found him boring. Einstein teacher thought that he was stupid and would never succeed in life. टीचर ऐसा सोचते थे कि वो कभी लाइफ में सफल नहीं हो पाएगा, लेकिन उनकी लगन मेहनत उनको बहुत आगे बढ़ा दिया. Einstein's mother thought that he was because behaved abnormally. Second question is, explain what the reasons for the following are: Einstein leaving the school in Munich for good, Einstein wanting to study in Switzerland rather than in Munich, Einstein seeing in Mileva and Ali. What do this tell you about Einstein? Now, answer is here. Einstein hated the regimented environment of his school in Munich. He always argued with his teacher. His mind was not made for the normal strict and disciplined environment of a school. That's why he left school to enjoy his independence. Second is, Switzerland was more liberal than Munich. Einstein much have hoped to find a less stifling environment in Switzerland compared to that in Munich. So he wanted to study in Switzerland. Now about Mileva, who was just opposite to Einstein's parents. Unlike them, she used to appreciate arts and finger things of life. Her mindset matched with that of Einstein. So Einstein saw a friend in Mileva. These snippets from Einstein's life gives an idea about the extraordinary thinking power Einstein was having since his childhood, because only a person with above normal intelligence can think beyond the accepted systems of behavior and actions. Einstein always liked to take his own decision, which is evident from his insistence on leaving Munich for a better future. Third question is, what did Einstein call him his desk drawer at the patent office, and why? Answer is, it is not mentioned in the passage, but it can be safely assumed that most of the applications for parents were of minor tweaking of older scientific theories and practice. This is the prevalent practice even today. Really original and innovative ideas rarely come on a routine basis. Moreover, as Einstein was himself a genius, he could see the foolish in patent application, as most of them must be pure theoretical value with no resultant benefit for the mankind. That is why Einstein called his desk the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Fourth question, why did Einstein write a letter to Franklin Roosevelt? From the passage, it is not clear if Einstein wanted the US to stop Nazis from making the bomb or wanted to encourage the US to make a bomb to utilize its destruction potential. The end result was the US made a nuclear bomb and used it against Japan. This led to large scale destruction and loss of lives in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This question is, how did Einstein react to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Einstein was deeply shaken by mishaps in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He wrote letters to the United Nations urging it to make a world government to stop nuclear race. He traveled all over the world appealing to leaders of nations for ensuring world peace. This question, why does the world remember Einstein as a world citizen? अभी भी लोग उसे याद करते हैं और बच्चे पढ़ते हैं उनके बारे में. Einstein's discoveries had impacted the whole world by initiating new discoveries about the universe. His theory of relativity changed the perspective through which scientists saw the universe earlier. Apart from this, he worked towards world peace and nuclear disarmament. Because of his scientific and geopolitical contribution, Einstein is called a world citizen. Thank you. Thank you so much.